Today I had a burning question. Could I beat the Separate Ways DLC with a pistol only while being on the hardcore difficulty? Well, let's jump into the video and find out. Our adventure starts with a rescue mission. I've been sent here to find a man named Luis. Thankfully, with my masterful TF2 spy skills, I've managed to infiltrate the local cult and find him in a prison cell. I pull off my best John Wick impression and take Luis so we can make it out of the castle. Thankfully, I have come fully prepared for this mission. I have a rope line to take Luis out of the castle. What I didn't plan for is the big boy who tries to attack me. But again, with the latest Ninja Warrior trophy under my belt, I managed to dodge most of his attacks, leaving me with just a scratch. Unfortunately for me, I broke my TMP during that fight, leaving me with just my pistol. This fight with you 3 has a focus on using QTEs to take as little damage as possible, meaning I'm going to need to parry a majority of his attacks if I don't want to burn through my health reserve. I start the battle by dodging his first 2 attacks, then laying in some pistol damage. He has some good close encounter attacks like the sweeping attack and his stabbing attack, so I start to put some distance between us. For the first stage of this fight, I just kept my distance and lay in pistol damage when he gave me the opportunity. For the second phase, I have to do the same as the first, but now I need to throw a flash to find the real U3, while also moving around to avoid the fake U3's attacks. After a grenade throw into some finishing pistol bullets, I finished U3 on my first attempt. The rest of this chapter is more of a puzzle with me using minimal pistol bullets to get through it. The rules for this run are the same as my sniper only challenge. I'm on the hardcore difficulty, I'm only allowed to use pistols in this run. Self-defense items are allowed. This includes the knife, grenade, and flash grenades. So that about wraps up the rules. I managed to get out of the castle, meaning I have to make my way to the church since that's where Luis told me to meet him. The reason I'm helping Luis has everything to do with my mission. I'm here on a special orders to retrieve a sample of the Grimace shake from this McDonald's cult. My employer hasn't revealed themselves yet, but they're paying a high price for this, so I can't say no to that sweet, sweet cash. But first, I need to make my way through this ravine, which I can just run through with no problem. Whoops, that wasn't supposed to happen. Okay, let me just try that again. And there, made it out of the ravine. Once I make it to the cabin, I can start doing some property damage by using these red barrels to take out groups of enemies with one bullet, rather than wasting multiple rounds trying to kill them all. I then pick up some treasure and juke some enemies until I can use my super grappler to make it to this rooftop, where I can see that Leon is tackling a horde of cultists. Well, actually, he's really just running around like a maniac with nothing but a knife, but I figured I would give him a hand. Thankfully, on my way to the church, I find a book that says a bell will make everyone chill out. So when I make it to the church, I ring the bell and look around for Luis. He's nowhere to be found, so I figure he's been probably kidnapped, meaning I need to head into the village to look for some clues. That's when I'm ambushed by U3 again. This second fight with U3 is slightly harder since it starts with the clones attack. Editor ID just hopping in here real quick to say not clones, he just teleports in this fight. You rather than you having to activate them. I grabbed some supplies around the battlefield while peppering in some pistol shots. I then tossed a grenade followed up by more pistol rounds. Then he used one of his new moves teleporting across the arena, grabbing, nearly killing me, but thankfully I had a knife to get him off, allowing me to recover. Some more pistol shots later, I get a stagger which allows me to get a kickoff on him, leading him to call his army of clones back into the fight. I toss a flashbang to reveal the real U3. I then lay in more pistol rounds, but unluckily get cornered. With no way to dodge any of attacks, I do end up dying. On attempt 2, I follow the same beats from attempt 1, just making sure I don't get cornered this time. I also dropped 3 grenades in this attempt instead of the measly 1. With a lot more pistol shots later, I finally get this knife prompt, which with a kick and a couple more pistol rounds is enough to take down U3 on attempt 2. Unfortunately for me, a sudden migraine keeps me from actually killing this freak of nature, meaning he just jumps away. I continue trying to find Luis, which leads me to this house where I see Leon being choked out by this big guy. I decide to help him yet again. Dang, for a special agent, this guy gets himself into a lot of trouble. The big guy leaves trying to find the person who just shot him, thankfully not finding me. While Leon moves on to the village, I can search the house for clues on where Luis might be, and luckily for me, I find out that he's in some kind of factory, meaning I can start heading in that direction. But it turns out that I'm not that good at hiding since the big cheese is back to teach me a lesson. Hide and seek isn't a children's game. It could save your life one day. A chase commences where I get messed up just a bit, but make it out mostly okay. I take a moment to talk to the merchant. In this playthrough, it doesn't help to use the reload trick that I used in my sniper only run, since honestly a pistol bullet is way too expensive for the amount of damage it does. So I just focus on getting enough money to upgrade all my pistols to a high power level. In the factory, I kill this guy for his jacket. Then I find out that Luis isn't here anymore. After some investigating, I find the radio frequency that allows me to radio him. He informs me that he's all the way back at the cabin I was just at, and before I can even start making my way there, a mob ambushes the factory. This next section kinda sucks since there are all these enemies here, plus the 2 chainsaw people that just love to cause me pain. But I crush this section. I start by letting the first guy throw his axe at me and then I can just run past him. Then I get a perfect parry off on the second guy, allowing me to get a kick, killing him. Next is the knife lady, who I also perfectly parry into a kick. I run past the first chainsaw guy and then throw a grenade, stunning the second one long enough for me to turn the valve and escape the factory. Are y'all ready for this? Apparently dealing with 2 chainsaw people takes a lot out of a person, because soon after Ada passes out. I wake up to find Wesker, also known as Agent White Castle. He is my employer. He sent me here to retrieve the Grimace shake so he could find out what was so addictive about it. I still need to get to the cabin where Luis is held up, so I stop by the merchant to handle some business, then I can make it to the farm where I have some trouble dispatching of the local populace. Hey, you done for now? Oh, you gotta be kidding me. Let me stab her, please. Really? I can then make it to the bridge where I can see that the cabin is surrounded by cultists, but before I can help, I see a huge boy making his way towards the cabin. I'm gonna have to stop him before he can even try to get close to that cabin, meaning it's time for our first El Gigante fight. This fight was a close one. There's not too big of a strategy that goes with it. It mostly comes down to aiming and moving from rooftop to rooftop. I start the fight by mag dumping until his parasite appears. 39 pistol bullets later, I get my first dagger, allowing me to get this sick looking knife animation off. I then have to shoot 56 more pistol bullets into him before I get the second stagger, allowing me to knife him one more time, getting the kill. I finally meet up with Luis, meaning I can now go get the sample with him. Luis and I take a full circle back to the castle where he informs me that he needs to grab some medicine for Leon and Ashley. But I want my sample as soon as possible, so I'm not having too much fun with this idea. That is when Luis informs me that I also have the infection. Apparently that little scratch I took back in chapter 1 was enough to do it. Now, I'm not a McDonald's person, so this isn't gonna fly with me, so I'm going to escort Luis to get the medicine. After making our way through some enemies, we find all of Luis's medicine is on fire. He decides to be stupid and hop into the fire to try to save it. I have to then go in after him and save him before he dies. Once I grab him, he gets all sappy since that was the last of his medicine. Thankfully, I give him a good pep talk and inspire him to make more, but for that to happen, I need to go grab 3 ingredients. The first ingredient is some red ink. This is a simple one to grab, just having to stealth kill some enemies and handle some simple puzzles. Once I grab it, I have a run-in with Leon himself. We trade some hits, but he ultimately gets me with his knife. He can't just leave me with that, however, so he gives me a bit of a lesson.
Try using knives next time. Better for close encounters.
Since I absolutely hate education, I jump out a window and move on to my next ingredient. Next up is the golden wine bottle. I think I see it behind this gong puzzle, but then I noticed that it was just a lamp. I take it anyway just to be safe, but then a giant spinning spike wall tries to kill me, and I say F that noise and manage to escape just barely. Thankfully, the lamp does unlock my next door. I can start on the wine bottle puzzle to get the gold bottle, where I then make it into the night room. Honestly, the knights themselves, while annoying, aren't as bad as these 2 shooting arrows at me constantly. With a flash grenade and some clutch perfect parries, I can make it through the section in 2 attempts, granting me the golden wine bottle. The last ingredient I now need is the butterfly specimen from the specimen lab. To get to that lab, I have to go through a hedge maze. This is pretty annoying since I have to deal with a red robe enemy, but thankfully before this, I bought a flash grenade recipe, meaning I kill him, giving me the key to the door, allowing me to progress. I make it to said lab, and after some Arkham detective work, I learn the lock combination, allowing me to finally have all the ingredients for the vaccine. Thankfully, Luis arrives, so I hand over the ingredients so he can make me the vaccine. He gives me a shot, but I'm rudely interrupted by you 3 again. I managed to get away. Luis has the shake, but for some reason I have a weird reaction to it. I have a feeling it has something to do with that big guy, meaning if I want that shake, I'm going to need to take him down. I start to track down Luis, first going through the Eclipse room, followed by me descending into the sewers where I get very lost. I go in a circle like 3 whole times before I figure out how to get out of the sewer. Once out of the sewer, I find myself in a Garador room. This Garador is a mandatory fight, so I have to take him out. Just like in the sniper rifle only challenge, this room has what feels like an infinite enemy spawn as well, leaving me to deal with the Garador and mob trying to kill me all at the same time. I can use the group up strategy that I used in the sniper only video to have the Garador help me out a bit. I end up dying once, but unlike in the sniper only video, I have extra knives this time, meaning with a combination of stealth hits and pistol bullets, I can take down this wannabe Wolverine. Hey, maybe they should dress up a Garador in full latex. Who wouldn't want to see that? Next up is the biggest challenge in the run. I have to face off against U3. This guy is pretty hard with some attacks that are extremely hard to avoid. Along with that, he has 2 phases, and if I die at any point, I have to restart the whole fight. I will be going to this fight with 118 handgun bullets, with more being in the actual battle arena, so let's see how this fight turns out. I start this fight by chucking 3 grenades at him, following up with 3 heavy grenades. Then 2 pistol rounds from the red 9 allow me to get my first dagger and kick for the fight. 10 more pistol bullets later, he gives me a big roar, which I respond with. 8 more shots later, he gives me a huge hit, making me use my herb. I recover by landing 9 more shots on him, chucking my second flashbang. Then, 14 shots later, I get him into phase 2. This is the real hard part of the fight, since his tail has attacks that are nearly impossible to dodge along with small, hard to hit weak points. Mainly I just have to out-endure this phase of the boss and hope that I can kill him, since if I die now I have to restart all of phase 1. Overall I'm handling this fight pretty well, but something I forgot halfway through is second phase he likes to start spawning Navistadors, which is just an added problem onto the mountain of BS. I can use my flashbang to stun all the Navistadors, allowing me to use them as target practice so I can shift my focus back on U3. I started to run low on pistol bullets, which started to concern me, but then I realized Navistadors dropped handgun bullets, giving me hope that I could finish this boss in just 1 attempt. After so many pistol shots later, the knife prompt pops up, I knife him, and it doesn't end the battle. But then like 4 shots later, another one pops up, and after getting the second knife off, I finally kill U3. I'm glad I could finish him in 1 attempt, since it can get really frustrating having to fight him more than once. With him dead, I finally am cured of the Grimace shake. Shortly after killing him, I get a call from Luis. He's not seeming too good, so I start to track him down, but by the time I make it, some guy has hamburglared the shake and Luis is dead. I track down this guy and find him taking a boat to an island. I take a look around the room where I find some keys to the boat. That's when Leon walks into the room and I decide to be a real good stalker and surprise him with the keys. On our boat ride, Leon asks me some stupid questions. So stupid, in fact, that I jump off the boat. I have a shake to steal. I get the target in sight before Mr. White Castle has a different kind of job for me. He now wants me to rig McDonald's land full of explosives, since White Castle will be the only fast food company left standing. Since he's willing to pay extra, I accept the job. In order to rig the island, I have to make it to the comms facility. I make it to the wrecking yard, but with some explosives and my epic juking skills, I can make it into the cryo lab. Now, pistols can't be equipped with the biosensor scope, meaning I'm going to have to run past any floppy boys I see here. Thankfully, in separate ways, you don't need to kill any of the floppy boys like you do in the main game, but I definitely will be taking unnecessary damage from them. Basically, what I'm trying to say is that grabbing the central power unit is a bit more of a struggle than it would normally be. I can make it into the kitchen where I obviously pick up Kitty so she can ride with us on the rest of our adventure. I move past 2 kitchen floppy boys easily, not even being hit once. Now past them, I can put the thing in the thing and make it to the lift, where I surprisingly take everyone out with a pistol at long range, making this part super easy. Getting around the turrets takes a while and is pretty annoying, but there's not much to really say about it. I make it past the turrets, finally arriving at what I thought was a comms facility, but in reality, it's a lab, where I get to meet my new friend. I named him Shark Boy from the hit movie Shark Boy and Lava Girl. We play a game of chase until this absolute square that is Mr. Electric Dad turns on the laser system, killing Shark Boy. No, Shark Boy, how could you? Filled with rage, I rigged the island to blow, but knowing that my crush is on the island, I decided to alter the detonation pattern to explode in bursts rather than all at once. After finishing the job, I find a jet ski and speed off to have a talk with Grimace. Who knows, maybe he'll just give me the shake for free? I make it to the sanctuary where I save Leon yet again. This kind of ticks off Grimace, meaning it's time for the final boss of the run. I'm starting to understand why Grimace has all these underlings guarding him since he's kind of a pushover. I start the fight by parrying his first few attacks and then laying in some pistol damage, leading into a heavy grenade toss. I keep laying in the pistol damage, throwing grenades at him whenever I get the chance. Once I run out of grenades, I just have to keep laying in pistol damage in hopes that he dies before he 1. Kills me, or 2. I run out of ammo. Unfortunately for me, attempt 1 ended with a giant spike through my head, meaning it's time to do everything over again. I end up resetting the fight a few times, but managed to finally take him down. All I have to do now is get Leon the rocket launcher to finally end the run. This section isn't very hard, but shooting the tentacles that block your path take forever. In the first attempt, it got me killed. Thankfully, I came more prepared on this attempt since I just killed the rocket launcher guy before shooting the eye. A couple of the eyes later, and I finally deliver Leon the rocket launcher. Now with Grimace dead, I can take the shake. Thankfully, Leon doesn't try to stop me. I mean, this is literally a biohazard that could cause a war, so I think for a special US agent, it might be important for him to get. I kind of pay him off with a jet ski though, and hitch a ride on a helicopter, officially ending the run. Thank you all so much for watching this run of Separate Ways. Not my most challenging run, but it was a fun conclusion to this whole weird McDonald's story. Keep an eye out for some more Resident Evil videos coming to the channel soon. And to make sure you don't miss out on those videos, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and ring the notification bell so you get notified anytime I go live or post a video. Thank you all so much for watching. You can't see it, but I'm waving you all goodbye.